Oh, hi. Didn't see you there. Thanks for joining me. Maddox here. Welcome back to another episode of the Pokey Historian. This is one of my fireside chat videos. What I want to discuss with you today is the state of the vintage market and why I think it might be a good idea to not sell the Pokemon cards that you love and enjoy that are rare. So, something I noticed in 2025, some of my friends noticed this too, it's been kind of wild. Like we kind of go on eBay a lot and see what's going on there. It's fun for us. Or weird, I know. A lot of these like vintage cards, they've just been kind of disappearing from the market. And then you just never see them again. Very interesting phenomenon. I haven't really seen too many people talking about that. In fact, this whole year, everyone was very hush-hush about the vintage market and like how much everything was moving on. It was like a big secret, right? It's like, don't tell anyone, like vintage is doing really well, but like, don't tell anyone. All we're gonna talk about are the new sets that are coming out. Whatever you do, don't tell anyone that all these vintage cards are rocketing up in value and they're disappearing. Because that's kind of what went on this year. Like, there are a lot of very cool, very rare cards that were available earlier this year for reasonable prices that are either considerably more expensive now, or they're just flat out gone, or some combination of the two. It's just like there's not much more on the market. Like, with a lot of these cards, there's still going to be some on there, but like it's not like there was. Like, people moved in this year and really took advantage of that. I think some people finally realized that with a lot of these vintage chase cards, that there just aren't that many in existence. It's just the nature of the beast, right? When I was a kid, when some of you were kids too, like we didn't really take care of our cards the way people do now. So the end result of that is to like a lot of the cards got destroyed, they went missing, and a lot of the ones that are left are not in good shape, and the ones that are in good shape are a super rare find. So a lot of people realize that, so the cards disappeared. And now we're in a very, very interesting spot. I would say there's probably a lot of pressure to sell some of these cards right now because the values have gotten so high. I've sold a few cards myself. Like I sold my Gold Star Mew. I sold my Shining Charizard from Neo Destiny. But what I wanted to get at with this video is like these cards that you really, really like I really like this Umbreon, like a lot. I've talked about this card a million times on this channel. You don't need to hear me gush about it again, but like the vintage cards that you really like that are pretty rare, my advice, and this is just my advice, you don't have to take it, you can do whatever you want, but my advice is for these type of cards that you love and enjoy a lot and they're disappearing from the market, if I were you, I would not inject them onto the market. I would hold on to this stuff with dear passion and just hold on for dear life. Like, you might at some point here get to a point where you just can't find this stuff anymore, period. We know that a lot of like larger financial institution, wealth management organizations are, or I should say have gotten into the Pokemon hobby. We can expect a lot more joining. And getting stuff like this, like, they're going to buy it up. There's going to be very wealthy people that buy it up. And it's just going to disappear into vaults and we'll never hear about it again. The PSA reports will say, oh, there's 600 copies of this card out there. But how many are you going to see on the market? Maybe 1, 2, 3, 5 at most. Like, we're going to get there at some point, y'all. Like, these iconic cards are going to go from iconic status to like legendary to myth, to the point where there's such a myth where you probably just won't even really see them much anymore. And if you do, it's going to be an absolutely jaw-dropping price. Like, if you think the prices are high right now, just wait. When I'm in my 50s, I don't even want to think about like what the price of these cards are going to be. And so money is great, money is cool, but just be careful what you sell, because once it's gone, and money can help with a lot of things. It really can. And if you need the money, do what you got to do. But if you don't need the money, there's nothing wrong with parking some of that money in an Umbreon from Aquapolis or anything, you know, first edition Charizard, a Dark Charizard first edition, Lugia, Neo Genesis, like any of this stuff, like, because it's just going to be so rare that you just won't see it again. One analogy I brought up one time, like in one of my videos from like earlier this year, a few months ago, was the idea of when you got a developer who moves into a neighborhood and starts buying up all the properties, and there's the one holdout and they're not going to sell. Like, that's who you want to be here, because once you sell, like the opportunity to have a property like that's going to be gone. Like, that's how the development world works. So like, my advice is just try and be that holdout granny who won't sell her house, because if you're able to do that, you'll have something truly special that nobody else has. And that is part of the fun of being a collector, right, is to have something special that nobody else has got. And if you really like the card, just don't give in, don't sell it, you know? Don't let these big institutions and these really wealthy people have all the fun. In fact, if you're able to hold on to this stuff for long enough, you might actually even become one of them. So that's all I wanted to say. Just some brief thoughts about the vintage market and about selling your big gun cards that you love. That's all I got. I'll see you in the next video. Like and subscribe. Have a wonderful night.